Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. Well, welcome to another episode of the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Things are a little bit different. We have changed, we have switched, we have moved some things around, and we're going to talk about why we are in a new location, and it's all because of our water leak of the leak of 2022.
Yeah. So we are in the worship center now to do the potluck, and this is also where we record the extra point.
Yeah.
And if you saw me like smiling right as you were doing that introduction, a moment of immaturity comes over me every time that we do this form of podcast. Whenever they're giving us the countdown in the back, as soon as she hits 0, I always want to do something ridiculous that just messes everything up.
That's okay for this podcast.
So I thought about doing that, and I was like, oh, no, then we're just going to have to redo all of this, and we're on a time crunch because we've got contractors coming in and carpet people coming in because of the leak of 2022. That's what we're getting into today.
Yeah, I think it's just better if we just start from the beginning, kind of like talk about some things that happened, that transpired. Okay, first off, we decided to fly out to go see my family on Christmas Day because it saved us like $600 for all 5 of us to head back to Texas. And as soon as we land in San Antonio, my phone just starts blowing up with all of our messages through our staff messaging app that we use. And I start freaking out because Erica's like, what's going on? Like, she thought like somebody died. I mean, that's not a laughing matter, but I got the video from Tim. I FaceTimed him because he was here. He first caught it first. And so just, like everybody else, whenever something like major happens, you just start to play things through your mind of like everything that happened. But I'll walk us through a little bit, just the beginning of like how you found out that we had this leak going on at the church and kind of like, the steps after that.
Yeah, so we were here on Christmas Eve for our 2 services, and that weekend it was like 1 degree outside, which is actually very abnormal for West Virginia. It gets cold in West Virginia, but cold for us is like if it gets down into the 20s, really.
Oh, yeah.
Like 1 degree, I don't know, I can't remember seeing that, especially for like multiple days in a row. And so this actually,
the wind chill was like
and the wind chill,
16.
Yeah, and so because of that weather, we weren't the only ones. In fact, every time that we had to call someone to help us in this situation, they were like, "Sorry, we're so overloaded. Like half the country's having to deal with leaks because so many pipes busted because most places were not accustomed to the weather that they were getting." And so because of that really cold weather, when we were here on Christmas Eve, I was talking to one of our elders who lives up by the church, and I asked him, I said, hey, could you, throughout the week, Christmas week, because we shut down the church office through between Christmas and New Year's to give people, like you, to go back home, for everyone else to spend that week with their kids that when they're out of school, a time to just relax, refresh, and get ready for another year of ministry. So I knew we weren't going to be up here. And we already had some frozen pipes in some different areas of the church when we were here on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, hey, would you come up a couple times this week and just check on the building to make sure that nothing happened with those pipes?
Yeah.
And I had specifically told him to come up on Monday, and that was on Saturday. because I was like, I'm not going to ask you to come up here on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I would never ask someone to do that.
Yeah.
And so Christmas Day comes, and I've been so excited all day because I love presents. I love giving presents. I love receiving presents.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hardly sleep. I was so excited for Christmas this year.
Yeah.
I know it's ridiculous. A grown man, but I get so excited for what my kids are gonna get. Like I get so excited for them. And so like I was so excited. Plus the Dolphins were playing on TV, and they're never on TV here.
Yeah.
So like I'm watching the Dolphins game. The first half is going fantastic. Second half, not so much. And this is how it happened. I told everyone this Sunday, but I mean this was a disaster for me. The Dolphins, who were winning, begin to make stupid decision after stupid decision, and Tua, their quarterback, throws his third consecutive interception, like on consecutive passes. And it's just outrageous. And the minute he throws that third one, the game is over.
Yeah.
They're out of timeouts. There's no coming back. Literally, simultaneous to that interception, my phone begins to ring, and it's one of our elders.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, and this elder happens to be related to me, so I'm not thinking it's anything major going on. I'm like, we're going over there for Christmas in a little bit.
Yeah.
This probably has to do with that. And so he calls, and he's like, hey, so-and-so was up at the church today to check the building, and we had a pretty major leak. And I'm like, when I first heard that, like we've had like a busted pipe in the kitchen here before, and
Yeah.
it's not been a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, okay, like we need to go up and like dry up the women's restroom or something. Like, is that what we're talking about? And so I don't have the proper view of what's going on at all.
Yeah.
Until I finally get a hold of the elder that came up here and found it, which again, remember I told this guy, come up on Monday, don't worry about coming up on Christmas.
Yeah.
And he came up on Christmas Day to check it. And had he not, I mean, we probably wouldn't have found out for another 24 hours. And who
Yeah.
knows how bad things would have been then.
Yeah.
So
Could have been bad.
when I finally get a hold of him, he sends me, I mean, he had taken a video walking through. And the images that are going through my mind, it reminded me of the movie Titanic.
Yeah, like the lower levels, like
Yeah, like the ceiling is hanging down. There's water dripping everywhere, water splashing up. Like he could have put like ominous music on the back of that video, and I would have been like, "Where is Rose and Jack right now?"
Yeah.
Like it seemed that much like Titanic to me, and it was the first moment that I was like, "Oh, this isn't like." This isn't like, hey, let's go dry up the restroom real quick.
No.
This is like
I should have brought my snorkel.
huge.
Every
'Cause he kept
night
telling
in
me-
my dreams.
He kept
I
telling me that how
hear you.
major this was going to be, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal until I saw the video, and then I looked like, and Megan's sitting next to me. She's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "There was a leak at the church. Like, we'll figure it out. It's not a big deal." And then she can tell that like my demeanor is crashing.
Oh,
Like, wait a second, Holly Jolly Scott that couldn't sleep last night because he's so excited for Christmas. The Dolphins just lost.
yeah.
And he's got this phone call that sounds very concerning now. And so she can tell something's shifting. Oh, what's going on? I'm like, that leak is a lot more extensive than what I had thought it was.
Yeah.
And I said, I think that I'm going to have to go up there, like on Christmas Day. And so I'm texting all the elders to tell the elders. I'm texting the staff, but I do not expect people to come up to the church on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the elder that found it, he's like, listen, there's nothing we can do. Like, what's done is done. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I want to come up and see it and see if there's anything we can do. And so, in the meantime, also, I have to start calling the insurance company on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So, they only have an emergency line open. And so, that ends up being, like, very difficult. I've got to call ServPro, who does,
Clean up.
clean
stuff
up
like-
and moisture, stuff like it's just so it was crazy. And I'm trying to call these people on a holiday.
Yeah.
And they're actually all open. And they're both telling me, like, listen, you're like number 50 that's called today. You're number 125 that's called today because so much of the country was having issues.
Yeah, it was that big old winter
Yeah.
storm that just hit like
Yeah.
3/4 of the country. I mean, it went all the way from Canada all the way down to Texas. Texas got down in like the teens.
Yeah. So when I talked to ServPro, they were like, listen, because I was thinking, do we need to wait for the insurance company to come see this
Yeah.
before we start doing anything? And I'm talking to the guy at ServPro. He's like, no. Your insurance company is not going to be upset with you at all if you go ahead and start to do what you can.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. Sounds good. So I texted the elders. I said, hey, I'm going to go have Christmas dinner with my in-laws, and then I'm headed up there. If anyone wants to meet me just to see what's going on. I did not anticipate a work party on Christmas night. I did not at all. I was thinking 2 or 3 of the elders were going to come up, and you had asked, hey, can you get all the electronics out of my office the way they're not sitting in a
And
in a
moisture
damp
environment. Yeah.
moisture environment. I'm like, yeah, we'll come up. We'll get all the electronics out, get it away from the water. And that'll be the end until somebody can show up and start this.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, like, we eat dinner. I start heading up here on Christmas Day with my father-in-law, who's one of our elders here. And by the time I get here, like, my sister, our children's pastor, has already been here for like an hour doing stuff. I mean, I've got other people in the building that I didn't even text at all.
Yeah.
They're up here and they're starting to work. Then elders are showing up. People are showing up. There end up being 14 people come out on Christmas night.
Yeah.
Literally at Christmas dinner time. It was like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
These people are coming out and they are bringing their shop vacs. And I think one of them told me, I think all in that night, they emptied like 150 gallons out of shop vacs that night.
Yeah. And that doesn't even put it in comparison because we have a couple of spots that have drains through the
Yeah, oh, yeah.
floor. So we've got one in the corner because it ended up coming into
Yeah.
our worship center. And there's actually one in the women's restroom
Oh, yeah.
where the leak originated in the ceiling. And there may be one other one that I'm not that I don't know of, but
Yeah.
still, and they're huge 2-inch pipes, so it can move water. And
Oh,
just
yeah.
the fact that it flooded a third of the building.
I mean, the best that we can guess is that it was running for at least 12 hours.
Mhm.
And this is like you said, 2-inch pipe. It came off the fire suppression system. The head just busted off, which is the weakest point in that system.
Yeah,
It catches a little draft, freezes up, pops off. This thing is, and fire suppression systems, there's no end to the amount of water that they have access to.
oh yeah,
There's not like it just doesn't just automatically shut off at some point. Like, it's running full go on a 2-inch pipe for at least 12 hours. And
Yeah.
if it was not for some of those floor drains, especially the one in the worship center that we used to empty the baptistry,
yeah,
it probably would have ended up being the whole church. And it
Yeah.
probably would have been like damage like we couldn't even fathom,
yeah,
because it would have started this where we found it within 12 to 24 hours. It hadn't started making its way real high up the wall.
yeah,
Had it been longer than that, had he not come till Monday like I had initially said,
it'd have
I
been
mean,
bad.
we're talking there might have been feet of water in here. Like, and there was a church in Hurricane, like, it was on the news, like, it ran for days and days and days and days. And it was, I mean, you're talking like high up feet of water in that church.
That's
that
crazy.
could have been us
Yeah,
if it was not for the fact that we found it pretty fast. And that floor drain in the worship center,
yeah,
when that elder got here, he said that water was just shooting down that pipe or down that drain.
yeah,
So that's really what saved the whole building. And so we only ended up with water in our office and youth wing. Maybe a third of the worship center. I don't even know if it's a full third of the worship center.
yeah,
And then in the lobby, and then your office / green room is not technically in that wing. It's more in the lobby area, and it was really, really affected
oh yeah,
by that. And so all in, what is there, 9 rooms that were affected by it. But luckily, or thankfully, not luckily, but we were blessed in the fact that it doesn't look like it came up very high.
yeah,
So what I can tell right now from what the guys at ServPro are doing, they haven't measured for 2-foot cuts right now.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like we're going to have to replace full walls yet, unless they come in and find more issues.
I think the only thing that'll be fully replaced is the women's restroom. But
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that people come up on Christmas and they just said, this is important. Not
Yeah.
that hanging out and spending time with their family is not important, but that they came up and they just said, we let's take care of this issue. Let's do whatever we can, just kind of help get standing water out of the building to where we
Yeah.
don't have more issues than what we probably would have if we would have waited
Yeah.
until ServPro could have came out and started doing their thing.
Yeah. I mean, it was a beautiful picture of the body of Christ and the people of God
Yeah.
and the family of God. Like, I didn't message these people. Like, some of our elders had let people know what was going on, and they just, of their own will, like, hey, I know it's Christmas night, but I'm coming out.
Yeah.
And, like, to see 14, like, because I was overwhelmed that day with, like, oh my goodness. Like, I was telling Megan, I said, we literally just got out of COVID.
Oh yeah.
And now, when we think we're getting ready to maybe have a whole year of normalcy finally, because last year wasn't fully normal. There was still COVID stuff going on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, like, our staff, we're going to be able to meet regularly. We're not going to have people quarantining at home and having to do Zoom meetings and all this. And then literally we all lost our offices like that. And I'm like, we're going to have to go back to a lot of the COVID stuff we did as far as our team goes, because you can't be in those spaces yet.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't imagine that 14-person team that came out on Christmas night. I guarantee they saved the insurance company an unbelievable amount of money because I mean, this is just God moving on our behalf. Like, ServPro was able to come the next day, even though they had, like, massive amounts of places that they could have gone. They came out the next day and started their fans and their dehumidifiers.
Yeah.
And within 5 days, they had the moisture level down to under 70%, where it had started off at 99%.
Yeah.
It was down to like 65% within 5 days of them being here. All of that, no doubt, saved a lot of issues.
Yeah, it's amazing hearing it. Obviously I wasn't here, and I don't know that I've ever. I pray for the church. I pray for the staff here, but I think it was like one of those moments to where it was like where you live out the scripture, pray without ceasing. Just because it was constantly in my thoughts, and I'm like, God, give them peace, give them strength to get through this. Because I mean, obviously, I would have. It sounds stupid or silly to say, but I'm like, I wish I would have been here to been able to help at least, because I mean, it's just I guess it's just the way that I give love and the way that I show people that I appreciate something. It's through acts of service. And acts of service and words of confirmation. Like, those are my two. And so I wanted to be here to kind of like work alongside these people and cheer them on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating, yes, that we went through it, but super looking back on it, even just the past week or 2 weeks or whatever, just seeing God's favor on every little step of the way in the journey.
Oh yeah.
And so,
because ServPro came out last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Once they had set all their stuff up, they're like, we'll be back at some point to kind of tell you what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And they show up on Wednesday, and this is the first time that I really got a picture of how major this was going to be.
Yeah.
Because I was still thinking, like, man, we did a good job cleaning this stuff up. Like, I wonder if anything's even been affected.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally my naivety right there, and my, like,
that's your lack
normally
of like building.
Yes, that's my
like
lack
knowledge.
of like manliness and like building knowledge, but also, like, it's funny for a naturally kind of skeptical, pessimistic person.
Yeah.
I was just super optimistic about this for some reason. And so when I'm walking through with the guys from ServPro and they're like, okay, this is what's going to happen. We're going to take every bit of flooring from that wing. And I'm like,
wait, what?
okay. And he goes, that we're going to cut every wall for at least 2 feet, possibly 4. If it's above 4, we'll take the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, then out in the main lobby and all this, they're like, yeah, we're going to do the there. There's some spots in the ceiling that have issues. They're like, yeah, we're going to have to cut ceiling out. The whole women's restroom where this thing
It's gonna be bare bones.
where it originated. I mean, by the time the leak was found, literally the ceiling had already fallen on that side of the women's restroom.
Yeah.
One of the lights is like just hanging on. Like I said, it looked like the Titanic. I'm not joking. It is so crazy. And so like he's telling me like, oh yeah, this whole bathroom. And then he comes in the worship center. He's like, listen, you can't match up carpet like this, even though only a part of it was affected. And the major thing is because it was the water from the fire suppression system. That stuff is like apparently that's nasty water.
Well, like the first 50 gallons of it is going to be full of like nothing but like soot or like just dirt buildup and settlement that's in the lines before it like has a chance to get to like the fresh stuff. So I mean, basically the whole line, there's any kind of sediment, it's going through there.
Yeah, so that's what they were saying.
You see it, like the dirt and everything everywhere.
That's what they were saying. Like it stained the carpet, which is one of the reasons why the carpet can't be saved. And then because that water is so nasty, like you really can't clean it.
Yeah.
Well enough to ever make sure that you're not going to have issues.
Yeah.
So like they're telling like the whole worship center carpet is on its way out, and we just got that carpet
a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, August or.
It was August of 2020.
Before or after you?
No, I was here because
so
I remember the basketball carpet
it was
that we had.
August 2020 that this carpet just got redone. So apparently it's getting redone.
Yeah.
And so then the next step now, like ServPro came up yesterday, and they started to mark the walls. And again, this is just me not knowing a whole lot, and this is why I'm so grateful for the people that God has surrounded me with.
Yeah.
Because look. I went to seminary to study the Bible. I don't know nothing about buildings. This is the funny thing about being a pastor. For some reason, we go to school to learn about the Bible.
Yeah.
And then we have to be a facility manager, a project manager. We have to know about video. We have to know about social media. We have to know about
everything.
Like, all this stuff, and I'm like, no. Like, I study the Bible. Like, I know the Bible.
And then I tell people about it.
Yeah, and so, like, that's the beautiful thing. Because some pastors have all those different skill sets. My skill sets reside elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm so thankful for the team that God put around me because I'm still thinking when ServPro's walking me through and talking about cutting walls, I'm thinking only certain walls.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not even thinking every wall.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, no, there's probably some that everything's going to be okay. So they come up yesterday to start marking all of the walls.
You're like, oh, that's a lot of walls.
Yeah, we went down to the Greenbrier yesterday because we were picking up pipe and drape from another church down there to help hide the ugliness of what's going on in our cafe right now.
Which is where all of the offices are.
Yeah, this is now one big like Google-style communal office in there.
I don't like it.
And I don't like it at all because I can't sing and dance like I normally do on sermon prep day.
Dude, you've already started singing it. Like this morning, I was like, I'm never getting anything done.
Yeah, it's that's why I'm leaving after this to go somewhere to where I can be by myself with the Lord to do my sermon prep. Because even just knowing y'all are in that room, like my mind races and I want to. It's funny for someone that doesn't like to talk. I want to talk to you all or see if y'all are looking at me like weird or this is what Megan does to me in our office. She videos me sometimes.
Oh, goodness.
And so I don't like that, and I wouldn't put that past some of you all as well. So that whole office situation. So we were down in White Sulphur Springs yesterday to pick up that pipe and drape, and the church that gave it to us, we went to have lunch with them. We come back after ServPro's been doing their thing all day, and that's when we come back and we see like all the cuts.
Yeah.
Like they haven't taken the walls out yet because they're having a little mishap with the dumpster. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But I see where they've cut, and I'm like, it's every room. Like I was wrong again.
In the
like
lobby,
every
the
room,
sanctuary.
and then in the lobby all the way out to the main doors.
Yeah.
Because I kind of forgot that the water also was shooting out the front door in addition to the drain in here, as well as shooting out through Anna's office in the back
and it
hallway.
was also hitting the back of my wall, which is the wall in the lobby.
Yeah.
And
And so that whole wall right there is getting cut 2 feet all the way to the front doors.
that's
and
if
I
it
didn't-
hasn't gone up higher.
Yeah, and I did not anticipate that at all. I was like, oh, the main lobby is going to be fine except for this one little corner
Yeah.
on like that attaches to the wing, and it's like, no, it's going to be all of it. And so it's going to be a pretty, I mean, like I've got contractors coming in for the next week.
Yeah.
We got to do our due diligence to get bids and all of this to get it all put back together.
Yeah.
My prayer, and I'm certain that this is possible. My prayer is that everything is back to normal by Easter, as far as the building goes.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a beautiful building as well, like by Easter.
For sure.
And so it's
Some things may be looking a little bit different than what people are. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, we just ask that people just have overwhelming amounts of patience, and then are praying for the situation from start to finish.
yeah.
And aesthetically, things they won't look the same. They're not going
They
to return
won't.
back to normal, and that's okay. I think one of the crazy things that I wanted to talk about a little bit as well was the amount of people that come the day after Christmas, which is
Well,
still,
they came on the 29th.
okay.
Right. ServPro came up that Wednesday. That's when they gave me that big assessment of like, hey, this whole wing right here has to be cleared out. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. Like
Yeah.
this is so I'm sitting here, my initial thought goes like, this is gonna be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's gonna take all 3 days to get these rooms cleaned out.
Yeah.
And so I tell the staff's like, okay, we're going to be up here. I tell the elders, some of the elders are like, yep, we can come help. And then I just made a Facebook post on my personal page, which not even everyone from the church is on my personal page, right? Like I don't do social media like that. So
Yeah.
not even the whole church knew about it. There was just some people that found out about what was going on.
Mhm.
And that day, I think we've counted like 24 people came up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we got every single room cleared out to the point where when I called ServPro later that day, I was like, hey, man, I just wanted you all to know we're ready for you all whenever you all are ready because we got every room cleaned out today.
Yeah.
So it had been less than 24 hours since they told us to clean it out. It was done.
Yeah.
And that guy's going like, what? Like he's like, he said, I called my manager immediately and told them, you will not believe what happened. Like they got it all done.
Yeah.
Like it's cleared out. It was unreal. Like people that like brought snacks up, people coming working. Like even if they only had an hour, they came and they gave it. It was just unbelievable to watch. And we were trying to tear down Christmas decorations simultaneously to all of that as well.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that you still expect, there was a lot of people up here that have kids or whatnot, because they're off from school during that time, and still during this holiday season, quote unquote, that people are coming up and they're showing up and they're still making things happen, knowing that they're not doing it for any kind of fame or glory or anything else like that. They're just wanting to live out a servant's attitude and a servant's mindset of just doing whatever it takes to help the church out in any endeavor or in this situation predicament that we are in. And it's just so awesome to be able to see and hear we talked about it for quite a while in our staff meeting, and just hear those, like, I can't believe people were here from start to finish, or they even just showed up for, like you said, like an hour, and because that's the only time that they had, but they still wanted to come up and make something happen and still try to help us out as best as we could.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking there was teenagers here.
Yeah.
Like teenagers off from school, could have been doing anything they wanted on their Christmas break.
Yeah.
Before they go back to school. And a handful of them decided to be up here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And helping their church out. That like, I'm going to be honest, when I was a teenager, that would not have happened. No way possible.
Yeah.
But that's just how much God is moving in the teenagers here at this church. I mean, there were people that have been at this church less than 6 months that showed up.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
been people that have been here for 30 plus years that showed up, and everything in between.
Yeah.
It was just again another beautiful picture of the people of God coming together,
Yeah.
and it was another very humbling experience. It was an experience as like there's a type of pride that a pastor gets that's actually not a bad type of pride, but
Mhm.
like where you're proud of your church. It's
Oh, yeah, for
not
sure.
like what you have done, but it's like wow, like I hear horror stories from my friends in ministry sometimes
Yeah.
about, how nobody wants to help out, nobody wants to give, nobody wants to serve, or people are always giving them a hard time and hassling them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that has just not been outside of like really small pockets. That's not been my experience here for the last 11 years.
Yeah.
And I just go, God, that is only your blessing, because I know I've got friends that just have been driven crazy at churches.
Yep.
And there are churches that wouldn't be able to clean out a wing that big in a month
Yeah.
with the amount of help that they have. And we did it in a day.
Yeah. It's
And
crazy.
so I just go wow, I cannot believe that I get to be a part of this church, let alone like help lead this church with these amazing people that
Mhm.
are nothing but a gift from God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's I love seeing how God works in people's lives for sure, and how they just live it out. It's amazing. So yep, that's why things look a little bit different here at the Pastor's Potluck
Yeah.
podcast. It'll be this way for the foreseeable future. But look, we're gonna make things happen. We're gonna continue to put a smile on our face each and every single day that we come in because, like we said earlier, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been it could have been it could have been different, but God had His hand on it, and I think that He's also given us a lot of for us as a staff. I know that we've all had those brief moments where we're kind of look at the situation and kind of just having questions and stuff like that. But I think that God has given us all just this spirit of whatever it takes to continue
Yeah.
to see ministry happen, which is amazing. Um, we've celebrated people that have come up and helped out, and just we're going to continue to do whatever it takes to share the gospel with people, lead people in their faith journeys, and look, wherever we're wherever we're recording this, it doesn't really matter, but just to continue to have fun in the process while we're doing
Yeah.
it. And speaking of fun, are you ready for a mystery meet?
You've been staring at it for the last 2 minutes while you were talking, and I knew it was getting ready to come.
I know.
So
Well, this is the weird part. Is like, how do I do this with holding this microphone?
just skip it.
No, we're not skipping nothing. Crazy.
If you're a first-time listener, I hate the mystery meat,
So yeah,
and
so
Jared loves to torture me with it.
I
So.
love it too.
And so
You
the mystery
probably
meat are these random questions,
yeah.
kind of like when you go through a potluck line, you always see that thing that looks like it's still moving, and you're not sure what it is. That's the mystery meat.
This is the mystery meat. All right. What would be the worst buy one get one free sale of all time?
Didn't we already do this?
Did I already do this one?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard this one already. I
don't know
think
why did
Jessica, or me or you did this, or you and Jessica,
I don't know.
or you and
Jessica-
Megan. I've
I don't
heard
know.
this.
It may have been Megan. Why? How did that get back in there? I need to go back and watch that. Watch that episode. That'd be really funny if I put it back in. Oh, okay. This is good. What is the worst / most annoying catchphrase? What is it?
Catchphrase?
Like catchphrase. Like
You mean like cliche?
no, like catchphrase. Like some like I don't know. Like Batman. He's always like I'm Batman. Or Buzz Lightyear is like to infinity and beyond. Like what would be the worst catchphrase?
I'm at a total loss on that. I don't even know that I know enough catchphrases to classify one. I mean, I could do like Christian cliches that I don't like,
No, we're
but
not
like a
doing
superhero
like a
catchphrase,
superhero catchphrase.
I don't do.
What's that?
What? Oh,
Like that's a catchphrase too. What's the worst one?
I-
I think McDonald's is pretty terrible.
I'm
I'm
loving it.
loving it.
I don't, because I do love McDonald's.
Mm, McDonald's gives me the McGurgles, so I don't need any of that.
I love McDonald's, so I'm fine with it. And I'm a big fan of Burger King because I do like to have it my way.
Yeah, you do.
That speaks to my selfish nature of my humanity.
You're like, I want a burger and keep anything that grows out of the ground off of it, please.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever is food for my food, I don't want it on my food. Yeah, that's my rule of
You're
thumb.
like
I live
you're like
by.
you're like half of Ron Swanson. You're like his brother, like Bob Swanson.
Yeah,
Like you have zero carpentry skills, but like you just want meat and potatoes
yeah,
and
yeah.
breakfast.
I do, and honestly, like if you have a meal without
Scott Swanson.
if you have like a nice meal without potatoes,
Yeah.
I will literally not come back to your house and eat. I just like everyone can mash a potato, okay?
Yeah.
Don't like if I'm coming over, mashed potatoes. I don't not baked potato either. I don't like baked potato. That's too much work. I don't want to have a an exercise time before I have to eat that. Like you got to cut
You know
it
what mashed
up.
potatoes are though? They're just pre-chewed baked potatoes.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
they're already
I don't
smashed
have to
up.
do any of whoever prepares them does all the hard work. I don't want to have to fix a baked potato. And then I've got to worry I'm not going to eat the skin. I know all the people that the skin's good for you. This is way away from the mystery meat, by the way, but
Yeah,
I
I
would
know.
much rather talk about potatoes
That's fine.
than catchphrases. I'm not going to eat the skin. I don't care how many times you tell me it's good for me.
Yeah.
I don't want that in my potatoes. I don't want to have to sit there and pick off the edible pieces. And then you always get butter that takes forever to melt in there. And it's just, the whole thing is a nightmare. I don't want anything to do with a baked potato. I don't want anything to do with a sweet potato. If I'm at your house, please just have mashed potatoes made with only milk. Do not put extra stuff in the potatoes.
Yeah.
Right? My wife and I, we learned this the hard way.
Yeah.
Like,
She could. She did the blue cheese
yeah,
crumbles
she
or
put
whatever.
blue cheese crumbles in my mashed potatoes, and she didn't tell me. And literally, I am going back to the kitchen 3 different times to try to season these things because I cannot figure out why they taste like a foot. Like, I just cannot figure it out. So I'm going back, and I'm adding salt, and I'm like, that's a little bit better. I add pepper, a little better. I go back to the table, and I take another bite, and I'm like, no, there is something off on these. And I'm like, and my wife's an incredible cook.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, something, like,
Did
is
you
our-
put like old milk or something?
yeah,
in
I'm like,
there?
is our milk expired? So I go back, I'm like, maybe it's just salt, re-salt, pepper. Okay, that's closer. No, re-salt. And then finally, I'm like, Megan, what is wrong with these potatoes? Like, seriously, you don't ever make stuff that's bad. So what is wrong with these potatoes? She goes, oh, I saw a recipe where I put blue cheese in them. And I'm like, you put molded cheese in my dinner. Like, you put molded cheese in your husband's dinner. I said, we don't even eat blue cheese. Like, we're not a blue cheese family. We're a ranch all day.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, okay, you want to put ranch in our potatoes? I'm probably okay with that. You put something that neither one of us eats. Like, if we go to a restaurant and a salad has blue cheese on it, both of us are going, no blue cheese, please. And she put that in our
Yeah.
very delicious dinner because I think we were having steak. We're having steak, meatloaf, something like that mashed potatoes has to be with. And then I couldn't even enjoy it because they tasted literally like a foot.
Yeah.
And I've never tasted a foot, but I'm just saying that's probably blue cheese is probably very footy.
That's
my
on
guess.
that's on your list of things I'm never putting in my mouth.
Yeah, I just that could be a great mystery meat.
Dude, your catchphrase is, I'm not eating that.
I'm not doing that. You could just widen that out to I'm not doing that because like whenever like Megan was like, hey, let's do this, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
I'm not doing that. Or Sunday, a bunch of the guys apparently from church were going up to a cabin to go hunting, and one of them was like, "You should come with us." And I literally, I'm not going to do that.
I'm not doing that.
I don't want to do that at all. There's nothing in me that goes, "Hey, you know what I'd like to do? Go out into the woods and do something I don't even know what I'm doing."
Yeah.
And if I did see a deer, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd be like a car or a dog chasing a car.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do out there? And then I'm not going to bring that deer back. I'm not going to eat that. Like, I like deer meat, but I'm not going to do that. If I killed it, I'm not going to eat it. If someone else kills it, I'll eat it for sure. But, like, the whole process. Like, if I go to the cabin with those guys, I'm sitting in the cabin.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a hot tub. Like, I'm not doing all that manly stuff.
Yeah.
So that probably is my catchphrase, back to the mystery meat. This is
Yeah.
my favorite catchphrase. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I think for everybody else, it's probably one of the worst catchphrases of all time.
Yeah, they don't like
They're
that.
like, Scott, we just want you to enjoy life, and you're like, I'm not enjoying life.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not-
love it
I'm
because
not doing that.
people will always try to tell me the benefits of all this stuff that I don't want to do, and I'm like, listen, it has zero effect on me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not like,
You're concrete,
who is it?
Bro.
Somebody-
You ain't going anywhere.
oh yeah, somebody will be like, oh, you need to start going camping. Like camping's
Yeah.
amazing. You're not going to convince me.
Yeah,
Like I'm not going to do that.
yeah,
Like no matter what, you could be like, oh, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. No, I'm not going to do that. So I can't even be convinced on these things. Like I am set on what I like, what I don't like, and like you could go, oh man, there's this new study that shows like broccoli will make you live 150 years.
I'm not
Guess
doing
I'm
that.
guess I'm not going to make it then. It doesn't matter what information comes out about broccoli, I will never eat it. Period. It's a trash vegetable.
Yeah.
You said
like
yeah,
it.
and I know that you like it.
No, I'm doing that. I like broccoli. It's good. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Pastor's Potluck.
We should on the mystery meats when I'm on,
Yeah.
just let me talk
Yeah.
just about randomness,
Dude.
like we just did,
We
because
don't
that was a
have
great
time.
mystery meat.
No, that was
Just-
a mystery interjection.
Yeah, just go with something that you know is going to fire me up, and then I'll just do the mystery meat that way, and you can save these questions for the people that are fun on staff.
I feel like there's some things that if I could just give you a topic, I could walk away and come back like a couple hours later, and you're like sitting there still going, and I could just pick
I
up.
feel like
and I'm
there's
going,
sometimes when we're prepping for the extra point, I'll tell Cheryl like, "Hey, I just really want to rant about this."
You're like, just get me going.
just set me up, put it on the tee, and I'm gonna rant about this.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah, maybe one day, I don't know, just a mystery, whatever comes out of your mouth. Like that's,
That's like every day.
yeah, pretty much. But it's any time that we do these podcasts, but we love it. People still come back and listen. So thank you so much for listening. Pray for us. Pray for wisdom and guidance as we continue to navigate the leak of 22. And once again, thank you so much for everybody that showed up and just had a hand in moving things and shop vacuuming something or just making anything happen to help us out. We love each and every single one of you. We love you. And thank you all for listening. Last year was a great year for us. And we're looking forward to all of our shenanigans here for, 2023. It's going to
Amen.
be a good year. It's going to be a good one. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. You can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Chickity chickity chick check 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 check.
Check, 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 check. check a check a check 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 a check a check 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 check. Bruh, for real.
At potatoes? I thought I was lifting them up.
No. Did you like those the way that I did those roasted potatoes, where you peel them and then you dice them, put them in the oven with like a little bit of salt and pepper and
I
olive
prefer
oil?
those to baked potato,
Yeah.
but I don't prefer anything nearly as much as mashed potatoes.
Oh, obviously. You're preparing for whenever you're 90 and don't have any teeth.
I could do that right now. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would have mashed potatoes and gravy. And also, I should have added this. Don't have mashed potatoes if you're not going to have gravy. What are you doing?
I like garlic mashed potatoes with like a lot of butter,
Nah.
like garlic
No.
salt.
I just keep seeing Cheryl's head duck down every time I say something. I mean, garlic mash, again, it's better than a baked potato, better than a roasted potato,
Yeah.
but have gravy. Like, I mean,
It doesn't matter if it's white or brown.
I would prefer brown and then chicken gravy and then white gravy.
Yeah.
But I mean, just have gravy. Like, also, it depends on the meal. Like, if I'm having country fried steak with white gravy on top of the country fried steak,
Yeah.
you gotta have white gravy with that. Are we recording or something?
What are y'all doing?